Good afternoon, Sarah. This is my response to your week 5 post. Um, it looks like you're making videos in transit. I guess I'm not the only one who's always very busy trying to manage these classes and having a work life. Um, my response to your post, I'm just going to focus on one aspect where you sort of said at the beginning about how the Israelis knew that the Soviets didn't want peace because the Soviets were militarily supporting their Arab enemies. I would argue that, of course, the Soviets were supporting the Arab enemies because the U.S. was supporting Israel. I mean, this is sort of the constant in the Cold War, which was my response to the post, by the way, in case you didn't watch it, was uh, that the U.S. The reason the U.S. didn't change policy is essentially because it was a Cold War context, and that the U.S. wasn't looking at the small little picture of the regional Middle East in any other light than in the Cold War. What is the Soviet Union doing in the region? Whatever the Soviet Union does in the region, we'll do the opposite. You know, or when we step into a region first, whatever we do, we know that when the Soviets step into the region, they will be stepping in to do the opposite. So I would argue that that's sort of the underlying theme and the answer here that we both agree on is that the reason the U.S. didn't change policy is because if it changed policy, then it could be perceived as a weakness by the Soviet Union, and maybe it causes more problems with the Soviet Union. It's like losing the Cold War. It's like giving up, it's giving up ground. Any little movement made in the world at that time is going to look like weakness. So, in order to not look weak, the U.S. maintained its status quo, even though it saw that its status quo was sort of enabling, as Jason referred to it, enabling the Israelis to kind of do whatever they wanted and go out and even when the U.S. was like, hey, well, you kind of went a little, they were like, well, you went a little far, but we're not going to do anything about it because if we do anything about it, then it could affect our interests with the Soviet Union, or it could affect our interests with Saudi Arabian oil, or it could affect our interests in some other way. So, good post. I really enjoyed it, and see you next time.